See? Same color. Same color, but different sweater. Totally different sweater. Something different underneath today too. So, happy Monday, Flosstube. Monday. Oh, Monday, I like Mondays now. I like Mondays now. Mondays are good. This is fun. Because Monday, let's do that first. It's so much fun for me to do this. I'm really glad we started doing this. Because Monday, we do a little giveaway here. My name's Caroline. This is Off the Grid Needlearts. That's my channel. Welcome if you're new. Thanks for coming back. If you're not new, thanks for watching. We have fun around here. Okay, so because Monday is a weekly giveaway that I do on our Facebook group, Friday Off the Grid. And if you're not a member there already, I highly recommend it. Just a little bit more about the group. Those of you who watch who are already a member of the group, you know this really well, but for those who are new, who really don't like Facebook or, you know, are hesitant to join, just wanted to talk a little bit about the group so that you have a little more information. We are above all a really positive group. We try to keep it 99% about stitching, and we all, you know, follow the golden rule, be kind. So we try to keep it PG because there's lots of people who don't enjoy that kind of stuff. There's lots of other cross-stitch groups where, you know, you can share those kinds of things if that's your thing. And you know what? It's stitching, right? Everybody likes different stuff. But the Friday Off the Grid group, we just try to keep it really PG. It's PG, it's kind. If you wouldn't share it with your grandma, don't share it on the Facebook group, Friday Off the Grid. And so to that note, any sort of conversations that I try to keep, I try to be in there. We've got some other moderators on the group as well. If comments start to go a little bit south, a little bit, not on track, a little bit delving into either politics or religion, or, any of those kinds of things that tend to really heat up the internet and start comment wars and things like that, we just shut it down. There are plenty of places to be socially active, and I encourage that, but the Friday Off the Grid group is not the place to do that. We keep it golden rule, be kind. So we just keep it to stitching. That's it. So if you're looking for a place where you just want to look at pretty pictures of stitching and share your stitching, the projects that you're working on, for 5-10 minutes of your day in this crazy world where there's lots of other things going on in all other avenues of social media and things like that, please join us. To that note, regarding my personal Facebook account, I generally tend to not accept friend requests from anyone that I don't actually know personally, only because I need a little space where I can be socially active and vocal and things like that. So I tend to, it's not that I'm trying to ignore you. It's not that I'm trying to be rude or unkind, and I really hope it doesn't come across that way, but I never generally accept personal Facebook friend requests, just as an aside. Okay, so getting back to the giveaway, because Monday, last week's giveaway that I posted on the Facebook group was for a Trail Creek Farm pattern called House of Hallelujah. And we had 70 comments on this giveaway post, and I ran the random number generator this morning from 1 to 70, and we came up with number 29. Number 29 was the comment that was chosen, and it was Anne Sumner Shaw. So congratulations, Anne. I recognize your name. I know I've sent you something before. I have a feeling I have no idea where your address is. So if you could please message me either through the Facebook Messenger app or through my Etsy site, www.evertote.com. I've been having a little bit of email issues lately. If you've sent me something to Caroline@evertote.com, I don't quite know what's going on. It could be user error. I'm not sure. But a few things have gone missing that I've gone into my email and looked for, and I can't find them. So there's been a few things. So guaranteed, the Etsy app has been really reliable for me to check my messages through there. So if you're having trouble getting a hold of me, try messaging me through Etsy. Anyways, congratulations, Anne. Please send me your address so that I can get this off to you. I'm a little bit behind sending out giveaways. So if you haven't received if you haven't received your prize yet from me, don't worry, it'll come. It's just, I've been a little, my schedule is full. So I try to, bundle up like 5 or 6 at a time and send them all on their merry way. So don't worry, it'll come. Just it might be a little slow. Okay, so congratulations again, Anne. And now I get to show you this week's draw. Okay, so the pattern that I've chosen for this week's Because Monday giveaway is by Lila's Studio. And many of you know Lila's Studio Designs. She is the creator behind the Let Freedom Ring pattern that a lot of people, not a lot of people, but some people have stitched. I'm looking at you, Ginger Gerald. And also Brian Blitzstitch, he stitched that as well. And I believe Vanna Pfeiffer has stitched it as well. Lots of people have stitched it. It's an amazing pattern. It's huge, really incredible. So she's, her patterns are really, really neat. So this is a Lila's Studio design from 2016. And the weather here has been absolutely crazy. Last week we had temperatures that were, as many people in North America know, we had a bit of polar vortex going on last week. So, we had negative crazy numbers here, and it was really cold. And today, it's going up to, what is it going up to today? Let's check. Oh my goodness. You can never find the thing that you want to find when you need to find it. It is going up to 10 degrees Celsius today. 10 degrees Celsius today. And because we had so much snow and ice from before, and now we've had some rain on top of that, my driveway is a skating rink with an inch of water on top of it. It's literally dangerous out there. Even with salt and sand and stuff, it's just not ideal. Sorry, I have a bit of a cold today, so, and I do not have anything to drink with me today because I have a lot of work and bags underway on this table here, and that would be really bad if I were to spill anything on it today. So no drinks, no nothing. So my throat is a little sore. So I may have to pause a few times and go and get a drink, but we'll go with it for now. Getting back to the weather. It has been freezing cold and now it's really warm. And so I thought it would be appropriate today if we went with maybe a spring-like pattern. So the giveaway today is this really, really beautiful Lila Studio pattern called Spring is Here. Spring is here. Not quite, but it's coming. Like clockwork, it comes every year. You know it's coming. And the design, the pattern says, no matter how long the winter, spring is sure to follow. Which is of course true. So isn't it pretty? It's beautiful. Okay, so that's today's Because Monday giveaway. And if you'd like to be entered in the draw, hop on over and join us on the Facebook group. Friday Off the Grid. Okay, so I, again, have made lots of notes today. I wanted to make sure that I didn't forget anything. I have a show and tell. I have a bit of show and tell today. I've taken a little video clip of it because it's hanging up on my wall upstairs and I didn't feel like taking it down and bringing it downstairs. So I'm going to insert that little video right here for my show and tell. I thought I would share an older piece with you. This was actually a gift to me, a wedding gift And it was the first time that someone had gifted me a gift of cross stitch. So we got married in 1996, and my mother's friend, Marilyn, was a cross stitcher. I don't believe she cross stitches anymore, but at the time she knew I was also a cross stitcher, and she knew I would appreciate it. So she stitched me this beautiful prairie schooler design, and I was to say I was thrilled when I received it is an understatement. My husband also thought it was very nice, but I don't think he was as effusive as I was. But it's just beautiful. I've seen this pattern booklet before. My mom actually owns this one. I can't remember what the booklet number is. Maybe someone who knows can pop that into the comments below. There are 3 designs on this chart, and so yeah, this was the very, very first amazing stitched gift that I was gifted, and it has hung on my wall through all of our moves, and I love it. I just love it. So I'm going to take you in nice and close so that you can see she did a really beautiful job on the stitching. I love those little birds. Just beautiful. So there you go. Marilyn, and I won't tell you her last name, but from Maryland, 1996. And you see, there's someone who puts her initials on her cross stitch, which I still don't do. But there you go. Isn't it beautiful? I love it. So thanks for letting me share it with you. Isn't that beautiful? That is a treasured wedding gift, and I haven't spoken with Marilyn in many years. She's a very good friend of my mother's, and so you know, I should get in touch with her again and maybe encourage her to get back into some cross stitch. Okay, so the next thing that I wanted to talk about was I feel like I've been doing a very, very poor job on answering questions that have been left to me as comments on this channel underneath the videos. I try my best to go in and, you know, I definitely read them all, but sometimes I'm not very good at answering them if I think you know what I mean? You talk to someone in your head when you are reading something, or, you know, you're watching Flosstube and someone says something and you answer them back. And sometimes that gets a little confusing when you feel like you've answered someone, but you actually probably haven't. So I wanted to really try and do a better job at making sure that I was answering questions that were asked to me, because I appreciate your comments, and so I want to make sure that I'm not missing anything. So what I'm going to start to do is Monday morning, while I'm getting ready to film this video, I'm going to go back into last week's video and I'm going to go through all the comments that are on that video and make sure that I'm not missing anything, and then we'll discuss it on the next Monday's episode, which is today for last week. So I've written everything down that we need to talk about that happened in the comment section from last week. So I'll come up with some kind of name for this segment of this video. It's just questions and comments. So I'll come up with something. First thing is, and I had several people leave me comments and suggestions about the Lowry frame. So I won't name you by name, but there were lots of suggestions. First of all, I had said last week when I was using it that the way it was set up, my dominant hand is underneath and my left hand is on top. And I said it might be difficult if you were to switch the other way around because of the tightening mechanism being in the way. Well, a few of you left me comments that make perfect sense, and I don't even know why this didn't occur to me. You can move it around to the other side. Duh. You know, just put it on the right-hand side of your chair and then it's facing this way, right? That makes sense. And the other suggestion was the tightening rod that's at the back. Make sure that it's in the upwards position instead of hanging down, and then there's no chance that it will catch your thread because it's out of the way, which also makes perfect sense. So lots of people use the Lowry frame with either hand on the top or the bottom, and it works beautifully for either way of stitching. So thank you for leaving those comments. The other suggestion was I had mentioned that I have some heavy books weighting down the frame, and 2 or 3 of you suggested a really beautiful doorstop. And that's actually a really good idea. So now I'm going to be on the lookout for a doorstop that I can place on my frame. I think Gerald uses a barbell. Have I got that right, Gerald? I can't quite remember. But anyways, yeah, a doorstop. So I think that's a pretty good idea. The next thing that I wanted to mention was a huge thank you to everyone who reached out to me about the New Jersey Flosstube retreat coming up in August. Those of you who messaged me both here on YouTube, in the comment section, and also sent me a private email. There are a few of you that I haven't written back to yet because I wanted to take the time and write a proper letter back to you, and I wanted to make sure that I had the time to do that justice, because it was really kind of you to take the time to make me feel a little less anxious about going to such a big retreat. It's a big retreat, like 100 people. That's a lot. That is a lot. Now, Gerald and Letitia will be there, and I know them very well. But I also know myself, and I tend to, when I feel a little anxious, I tend to kind of head down and just stick with what I know. And I would really like to open myself up to meeting new people. So thank you so much. I now feel like I know some more people that will be there. So that's been really nice. Okay, so the next comment question came from a viewer named Paula, and I love this one. Paula says she's not a stitcher, but she came over to my channel from the Fiber Friends podcast because she's a knitter and a crocheter. And she came over from the Fiber Friends podcast, and then she watched a little bit of Flossmas videos, and then now she says she's really hooked and she wants to try it. And the thing that really floats her boat is black work. And so she had a question about getting started on a black work design, and she suggested a pattern that was by Stitchworks. And again, I didn't actually write that down. I'm not familiar with the designer she asked me about or the pattern that she suggested. Black work for me, I'm certainly not an expert in black work. I have taken one class with Liz Almond, who is the queen of black work. Liz Almond, not only is she a lovely person, if you ever have a chance to meet her, take a class with her, jump on it, because she is a wonderful teacher. She is really a wonderful teacher. I can't say enough about her. I was so lucky. It was a weekend thing. My needle workshop at the time, Thread and I, hosted her for a weekend, and they had 2 days worth of classes at their shop. And so, we didn't go anywhere. We came from home, and we went for the day and spent the day with Liz and working on a few, we had our choice of pattern that we were working on. And at the time, she was just starting to design her box of chocolates, blackwork piece that has become quite popular. It's beautiful. And so we were able to see her sort of design thoughts and processes about how she was starting to work on that design. It was fascinating. Hearing her stories about her studio at home and how she works, and she brought, she must have needed an entire suitcase for the samples of work that she brought, of her own work, because it was jaw-dropping. It was so many projects that she was able to share with us of her own work. that was a spectacular weekend, really once in a lifetime thing to do. And I feel very fortunate that I got to do that. However, that is my only experience with blackwork, one weekend of classes. I am not a huge blackwork person, probably because it reminds me too much of backstitching. And backstitching, I'm just not, it slows me down. So I tend to stick with cross stitch. However, blackwork is gorgeous. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for someone who knows a lot about blackwork to help out Paula here. She wants to know what is a good starting piece for blackwork, and she's mostly interested in a sampler style piece. So Paula, let's find you an answer. And thanks for your question. All right, next up is from two people. We're talking about my sewing machine, namely the pedal that I left at the cottage. So if you didn't see last week's episode, I have a small business. I make project bags, Evertote, and my main sewing machine had to go in for repair unexpectedly. It was bad. It was desperate. It needed repair. And I have a secondary machine for just that instance, if that happens. And my secondary machine actually started out as my first machine. It's a beautiful machine. I'll tell you more about those in a minute. But it only works if you have the foot pedal. I mean, it works. You can use the hand controls, but I'm very slow. And the way I maneuver the bags to make them, I need both hands. So I was really, I didn't know what I was going to do. It was a bit of a crisis for a day or so. And the cottage is on an island, inaccessible for me at the moment. More on that in a minute. So both Teresa and someone else, I didn't write down who else asked. Oh, it was Maria. Wanted to know, could I just order a secondary foot pedal from Amazon, which is a great thought. And my husband also was like, check Amazon, check Amazon. No, Amazon does not have a replacement foot pedal for this particular type of machine. There was an online sewing machines parts shop in Texas that had one, but it would have cost me about $150, and it probably would have taken a week to get here. So that wasn't ideal. I knew that John was taking the kids over to the cottage if the weather was going to hold. Ice over the cottage, like snowshoeing over the cottage. And so I thought, okay, I'm pretty sure it's there. I'm going to wait and see. And sure enough, when they got to the cottage, he sent me a picture and he said, look what I found. And there was my foot pedal. So my foot pedal for my secondary machine is now home. My main machine is home from being repaired, and I am back in business. I'm about a week behind with my work, and I'll talk more about that in my shop update at the end of this video. So someone else, and I don't know your first name, I only have your initials, A.E. Stout, left me a comment, and she wanted to know, I'm assuming it's a she, could be a he, they wanted to know what kind of machine I have. So my first machine that I ever got, which is now my secondary machine, is a Husqvarna Viking Opal Q90. That's the whole name of it. And it is a beautiful machine. I was really lucky to have that as my first machine. It was my 40th birthday present. And yes, I only started sewing when I was 40, and I took to it like a duck out of water. I love sewing. And so my sister-in-law, Kathy, helped my husband pick out a machine that at the time we didn't know that we were going to be making project bags as a business. So she said, this is the kind of machine that will last her for life. She can do whatever she wants on it. So he gave that to me for my 40th birthday. So it's a Husqvarna Viking Opal. Fast forward a few years, and the project bag business is now, it is full-time, and I needed a second machine. And in fact, I bought the second machine in case my Husqvarna needed repair so that I would have one. But I kind of fell in love with this machine at the shop, and it's even slightly more heavy duty than the Husqvarna, and it's a Genome Skyline S5. And so that that's my main kahuna. That's the one that I do the vast majority of the bags. And in the summertime, I move my business up to the cottage and I take my Husqvarna to the cottage because it's a slightly smaller footprint. We pack and take everything for 2 to 3 months. So I'm conscious of size. I'm also conscious that I take a lot of fabric. I take a lot of bags. I take a lot of stuff. So the Husqvarna is just a little smaller. It's a little lighter. And that's the main machine that I use in the summertime. So those are my 2 machines. There you go. Thank you for asking. Next, this is not a question. This was a comment, and it was one of my favorite comments that was left for me last week. So I just wanted to share it with you. And a little shout out to Betty. Betty left me this comment last week. We had some big furnace problems last week right at the beginning of that whole polar vortex thing. And so you can imagine the kind of anxiety that was happening around here without a working furnace. And my father came and really helped us out. He's an HVAC. He's a retired HVAC man, journeyman, and I had mentioned I don't know what we're going to do when he decides he is retired from helping us out because, you know, we trust him 100%. He does an amazing job. He's always cared for our furnace and our air conditioner. They've always worked beautifully. And in fact, we've probably gotten a few extra years out of our furnace strictly because my father has done such a good job taking care of it for us. And so Betty left me this lovely comment. So I wrote it out so that I could read it to you. My son is an HVAC man, but he is south of Cleveland. He is so reliable and honest, but it's a long way from you. I enjoy your videos. I lived up by Cleveland for 25 years. The snow looks pretty, but so cold. And I love everything about Betty's comment because she's obviously so proud of her son and thinks the world of him that she would think to mention to me, who I am, you know, thinking ahead to, how am I ever going to replace my father who's trustworthy and, you know, I don't know anybody, but unfortunately he's a little far away. So if anyone is south of Cleveland and looking for a reliable HVAC man, let me know and I'll get you in touch with Betty. So thank you, Betty, for your comment. It was really nice. Okay, so that's it from the comments and questions on the YouTube channel. So now I'm going to get into, I have a knitting finish that I wanted to share with you. And I know I shared this on the Fiber Friends podcast, but I'm sharing it again because, well, I'm sharing it again. It's a finish. I shared my shawl last week, so I finished my shawl, the Meet Me in the Middle shawl. And last week, I finished a sock. So this is my Fiber Friends sock. This was yarn that was hand dyed by my friend Adrian. And this was the yarn that started the whole podcast idea because 3 of us were sitting, we'd gone away for a weekend together to craft at a little house that we rented close to, it was right on the St. Clair River. Basically, we could see the United States across the river. We were, you know, waving at our American neighbors. And Adrian had brought us a surprise because she had been dyeing some yarn, and she brought us she had one for all the 3 of us, individual skeins of yarn. And we had some other stitcher friends joining us the next day, but we were the 3 knitters and we'd gone up a day early. So she had special yarn for us, and she'd done this contrast color differently for all 3 of us so that we would have individual socks. And that's when we started chatting and we said, you know, wouldn't it be fun if we did a podcast and, you know, then we could get together all the time and chat and have fun and laugh. And fast forward almost 2 years and here we are, because that podcast started this podcast because there was never enough time to talk about my cross stitching. So I blame Adrian. It's all her fault for all of these videos that I seem to keep putting out. So blame Adrian. But isn't it beautiful? And I finished it. And this is the 2nd sock. So I have a completed pair. Yay. So that leads me to 2 things, 3 things maybe. Let's see. The first, okay, so you all know Dina from Half Stitch Cross Stitch. And if you don't watch her already, she's lovely. So hi, Dina. Dina is also coming to the New Jersey Flosstube retreat, and she is one of the lovely souls who sent me an email introducing herself, and so I wrote her a response, and then she sent me back another email, and it had a question in it, and so I said to her that I would, because it was a really good question, that I would talk about it on the video today. So it is about knitting, okay? Now, here's the thing. I know this is a Flosstube video, and I know that we talk about cross stitch, and I've just shown you knitting, and I do share a little bit of my knitting here as well. This is Off the Grid Needlearts. I'm a multi-crafter, and there are lots of you who have expressed some interest in knitting, and I can hear the school, and they just called my son to the office. That was very strange. They just called my son to the office. I hope he's not in trouble. Oh dear. Well, I'll update you later on what happened. Uh-oh. Anyway, where was I? Right, okay. So on the Fiber Friends podcast, I am always talking about cross stitch. I am always encouraging people to either join the Facebook group or check out my videos over here, because I love to encourage new stitchers. And so the same goes here. I really love to encourage new knitters. So Dina sent me a question, and so she says, I know you stitch, sew, and knit. Do you also crochet? I've just taken one lesson and I'm trying to crochet a baby blanket. I'm so slow. Anyway, I really wanted to learn to knit, but my friends here in the Naughty Knitter group, and it's Naughty Knotty, which I think is kind of fun. They said to crochet first as it was easier. What is your opinion? Okay, so I have a big opinion on this. But again, it's an opinion. Take it with a grain of salt. This is my opinion. And what do I know? I only know from my own experience. I have tried to crochet. I like crochet. I have tried to crochet. That's the operative term there. I am no good at it, really. I have confidence that I could be good at it because I'm generally quite tenacious when I want to go after something that I really want. I don't really want to learn to crochet. There's a couple of projects that I'd like to make, but there are so many knitting projects that I want to make. I enjoy looking at crochet, but the act of doing it never really floated my boat as much as knitting. So, is crochet easier? Some people would probably say yes. Some people would probably say no. I would be in the camp that would say, I don't find crochet easier. I didn't find it hard to learn how to knit. And in fact, there is a whole list of learn to knit videos right here on this channel. So if you go up into the playlist section and you hit that button, you are going to find a playlist that says Learn to Knit with Us, or Let's Teach Ginger Gerald How to Knit. And so we, together with one of my fiber friends, Louise, came up with some patterns, and we go right from the very first step of learning all about yarn and needles and knitting a dishcloth all the way up to learning how to knit a pair of socks. So Dina, if you haven't checked them out yet and you really want to learn how to knit, you can totally do it. I know you can. So if you want to crochet, do it. You say you're slow, you'll speed up. Of course you will. It's just practice, right? So you'll speed up. But if you really want to learn how to knit, don't let that hold you back, because anyone can learn how to knit. It just takes practice, just like anything else. I have never found crochet to be easier. In fact, because I already knew how to knit, crochet seemed awkward and foreign to me. So just my opinion. I will always encourage people to learn how to knit. So there's that. One more thing about sock knitting before I move on, only because I do not have the opportunity to talk about this on the Fiber Friends podcast because I only just saw it today and it's only good for today. So if you are a sock knitter, I really want to draw attention to the Grocery Girls. The Grocery Girls. Grocery Girls are a really, really popular knitting podcast. They are two Canadian sisters who live out in Edmonton. And their podcast is pretty funny. They've been podcasting for a few years now and they're wildly popular, but there's a good reason. They're a lot of fun to watch. Well, Tracie is the one sister and Jody is the other. And Just Tracie is her Instagram handle. And I just saw this morning she posted her latest sock pattern, which is called Coffee Talk, is on sale today. 50% off. There's a coupon, and I'm going to insert a picture here. So as you can see from her Instagram post, the pattern today is 50% off, and as well, any proceeds, 100% of proceeds made from that pattern sale today, February 4th, 2019, are going to go towards Down Syndrome International. So a wonderful cause for a beautiful sock pattern. So if you are a sock knitter or you're thinking you want to learn how to knit socks, it's a couple of, I think it's a great cause. And so just today, February 4th, 2019, I'm going to post a picture of her Instagram picture, and I will also post a link in the drop-down box below that will take you directly to the pattern. And don't forget to use the coupon code for your 50% off. So that's it about socks. Let's get to stitching. Okay, so I have, today is a January roundup. Oh, wait. I did forget one thing, only because I saw it out of the corner of my eye. I purchased the pattern, Tracie's pattern, and I already have the perfect yarn for it. So this is what I'm going to make my Coffee Talk socks out of. This was hand dyed by Suzanne at Knit Stitch, which is my local yarn shop here in London. And in fact, she's closing her London shop. She's closing up shop here and she's moving to Stratford, which is just under an hour away from me here. But Stratford's a beautiful place. I foresee a few road trips in my future. So this was hand dyed by her, and I think that I had a 3-month sock of the month subscription. This was one of the months that I was lucky enough to get. And so this set, I think I've been hanging on to it, unsure what I would do with it, and I think it would make the perfect pair of Coffee Talk socks. So that's the plan. All right, now I'm getting to stitching. January roundup for what I accomplished in January. I had the 3 projects that I was working on. Dido by Sampler Cove was the first focus piece, and here is where I got to by the end of the month. So it's beautiful. I don't have the cover photo here to share with you. It's a geometric design, so this corner, just imagine it repeated 3 more times, and there you go. The center is complete. So this corner 3 more times, and then it's done. Easy peasy, right? Why isn't it finished already? This is a 40 count white linen, very wrinkled. And I'm using 2 Gentle Arts, Grape Arbor, and Old Hickory. Those are, yep, Grape Arbor. See, that's my color, right? Like I said, that's my color. I always use this color. I always wear this color. It's all good. Okay, so Dido was the first one that I worked on, and it's now being put away for an indeterminate amount of time. The second big project that I worked on was Corners and Curves by Rosewood Manor. And I did okay with this one. I didn't get as much progress as I thought I would. Now I've left this as is from how I was stitching it. So as you can see, I have all of my needles still in the side here because I wanted to keep it like this until I shared it with you. And then I'm going to pack everything up, all of my flosses, in individual floss away bags, and when I tuck away this pattern. So I've just left that there just to show you how I was working on it as I went. So I finished these two motifs here, and then I did some work on, I finished the leaf and then this little corner up there. So that was my progress in January on this piece. And I'm not sure when I'm going to bring it back out again. I love the look of it, but it's a lot of changing colors. So I need a good break from it. I think that's what I'm trying to say. So I don't know when it'll come out again. Probably next year. Okay, it's one of those long-term pieces. It's all good. It's all good. Last but not least, I had my Ginger Gerald Stories of the North part 1. Now, this is not finished yet. Here's where I am. As you can see, I am almost finished. I just have to finish these blueberries. So I decided for myself, because I have 3 projects on the go every month and I'm switching those projects, I would really like for the small to medium project to be finished before I move on. So I've changed out my 2 big projects for the month of February, but I am not working on my other small until this one is done. And I really, like, a few more hours of work and this will be done. And this is the reason why I haven't really put any more stitches into my other new February pieces, because I am making myself sit down and finish this. And I love this pattern, and I love Ginger Gerald. He's awesome. But I'll tell you, 1/1 on 32 count is not my favorite. I think his sample he did on 28 count. 1/1 on 28 is a little bit more manageable, but 1/1 on 32 count, especially, my eyes are changing. Like, I'm getting old and my eyes are changing, and I have bad eyes already. So trying to find that happy medium of taking my glasses off and holding it really close to my face or holding it further away depends on the lighting. It really depends on the lighting. Even with a good floor lamp and natural daylight, it just changes throughout the day. So I am not stitching anything else until this is finished. And I just have like 2 more blueberries to do and a few more leaves down there, and then it will be done. So once this is done, then I get to get into February's small. February's small is the replica of the pin cushion that I stitched when my very first project ever, when I was a teenager. And so here's where I am. Just a little bit done. I started this during Flossmas. It's on a pre-finished 14 count frame that I just bought at Michael's in a 3-pack. And you know, I counted how many squares I had so that I would be sure that my design fit. And it will just. So I have been asked, you know, if I could recommend any similar patterns to this, and I can't remember who asked me. This is, I cannot attribute this to any designer. This pattern is riddled with mistakes. If you would like to stitch this pattern because you think it's super cute, here's what I'm going to do. I am going to put this up on the screen right now so that you can see it. I have no designer. I have no information about this. It's riddled with mistakes. I don't feel any compunction in sharing this pattern because I have had to, and you'll be able to see, I sort of rework this as I go because I know there's a few other mistakes in here. So please be warned. I'm going to put this up on the screen, hit the pause button, and see if you can put it down yourself. What I'll also do is I'll take a photo of it and I'll put it up on my blog that I never post on, you know, honestly. www.offthegridneedlearts.com. I can't even remember my blog address. That's terrible. That's terrible. That's how, wow. Okay, so if I can still get into my blog, I will post a photo of this. No promises though. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hold it up and I'm gonna hold it still on the screen. Hit the pause button. And you can very easily chart this design out yourself. See? It's very simple, very sweet. And as you can see, I tried to fix a few of the spots here, but definitely there's one or two other mistakes. You can see this motif is higher than this one, and it has something to do with something in here or something in here. I can't quite remember. I've kind of been fixing it on the fly as I go. So don't copy this stitch for stitch because it'll be wrong. So just get the general idea there, and then you can really easily chart this out yourself. It's lovely. You can do it in any color on any kind of fabric that you like. However, I am not going to touch this until my Stories of the North is done. Done. I am using, on Gerald's piece, some Victorian Motto sampler threads that I sold in a kit last summer. So, beautiful. Next up for February is True Blue. So this is the one that I'm going to be replacing on my Lowry frame once Gerald's piece is done. It has an enormous list of colors. There's somewhere over there. There's somewhere in my drawer of DMC. So I don't know how much I'm going to get done on this month, but I really wanted to put a few more stitches in it. It's on a Q-snap, on an 11-inch square Q-snap, and that's the reason why I haven't touched it in years, because I just don't enjoy it. Oh, it's right here. Of course, it's right here. I had it here to show you. I don't know why I'm talking about it without showing it. So, as you can see, I've barely done anything. So, looking forward to getting a few more stitches in that. So, True Blue. And then last but not least, my big kahuna piece for the month of February that you will be seeing every Friday on Friday Off the Grid Stitch With Me, because that's the one I'm going to focus on this month in my Stitch With Me videos, because I really want to get that those top 3 months done. Okay, so it's upstairs on my floor frame, so I took a short little video of it to insert right here. So here's my starting point for the week with my Modern Folk Embroidery 2018 Mystery Season Stitch Along. As you can see, I have not put a single stitch in this since Friday's Stitch With Me video. That's okay. Lots of people don't watch the Stitch With Me video, so maybe this is your first time seeing this piece. So I thought I would share it anyways. I love it. This is a 40 count R&R Reproductions linen. And the color is Patriot's Brew, and I'm stitching this with an out of what's the term? It's no longer made. Oh, it's escaped me. This is hand-dyed fibers silk. She no longer makes it. So it's Saffron Cobalt. So it's this most beautiful blue. You can see there's some really, really light variegation to the thread, so it just provides this really beautiful subtle shading across the stitching. I love it. So there's where I am as of this Monday, February the 4th. Isn't it beautiful? I love it. Camera angle just moved slightly because I had to check my phone and make sure that there weren't any messages from the school that I may have missed when I started recording this, and there are not. So I'm going to assume that there's no emergency at the school as to why my son would have been called to the office, but it's kind of interesting that I heard it. So I'll know when he comes home that I can ask him what happened at school today. Okay. Let's see. I told you all about my January roundup. So I'm also doing the same thing with my knitting projects, except a little differently. I've got 3 projects on the go with my knitting, works in progress. I'm trying to avoid new starts, but new starts will probably happen a couple with my knitting, more so than cross stitch. But I'm sticking with those projects until they're done. So I finished the shawl and a sock in January, but my other shawl, I'm carrying that over into February. It's almost done. I added in another shawl that was half complete, and the pair of socks that I was knitting, that I cast on and was using for the sock tutorial videos on this channel, because they're not done and I want to wear them. So those are next on my needles for February. Okay, so I am at the bottom of my list here, and the only thing that I have left to talk about today, in probably what is going to be a very long video, is my shop update. So www.evertote.com is where you can find my project bags, and like I said, I am about a week behind with my work, so there will actually be no more new bags going up in the shop until all of the previous bags that were ordered have gone out. If you are waiting for a bag from me, all of the bags that were purchased in the last shop update will be on their way by Friday at the latest of this week. I will be sending out boxes. I will be sending out a box tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday. So by the end of the day, Friday, all of the orders will be on their way, and I appreciate your patience. Thank you very much. So a little bit about the way that I handle sending bags now. If you aren't aware, I now put the majority of the bags into the US Postal Service, even though I'm up here in Canada. I now have a third-party shipper called Chit Chats, and they are based in, they're up near Toronto, and they are a company that they take your stuff over the border with all of the customs information and all of that kind of stuff, and then they put your mail, your packages, into the US Postal Service. So I pay for the postage here on my end, and then I have to get my stuff to Chit Chats. So what I do is I will package up 10 to 15 orders at a time. I put them all, I pay all the postage and do all of that stuff, and then I put all of those orders in one box, and then I have to FedEx that box to Chit Chats. So what I do for you is I will mark your order as complete on Etsy and send you the tracking number, because that's another real bonus here. The cost involved with FedEx and Chit Chats combined is about the same cost as what it was costing for postage through Canada Post. So I have Chit Chats is a little cheaper because it's US postage, but I have to pay for the FedEx shipment to get everything there. And because I'm sending it out, multiple times a week. Anyways, the postage rates end up being about the same, and that's why I've been able to keep the rates the same. But the benefit is that now I can send international packages for most countries. There have been a couple of countries, Norway? I think Norway. I couldn't get a tracking number to Norway. But I now have tracking numbers. However, they only go into effect once your package has been received into their system. So it has to make its way from my house via FedEx to Mississauga and then be scanned in. So when you receive that tracking number that I send to you, that probably won't be valid for a couple of days until it's gotten into the system and been scanned in properly. However, if you haven't received an email from Etsy about your order by Friday, check your spam folder. A lot of people find that it kind of shunts directly into their spam folder. And if you open up that email from Etsy that says, Evertote has shipped your order, there should be a tracking number right in there that will allow you to see where your package is and when it should get in your hot little hands. So, but again, the tracking number takes a couple of days to come into effect. So I am finding that people are getting their packages either about the same amount of time or slightly faster using this method. And having that tracking number has been, for the most part, it's been great. I did have one customer in Quebec, and we had an order go missing, but that actually was not through Chit Chats, it was through Canada Post. And it even had a tracking number, it says it was delivered, no one can find the package. So, you know, even with these things, we're kind of at the whim of the Postal Service. So, okay, so that's about the postage and about the orders that are waiting to go out. So as far as new bags in the shop, there won't be anything new in the shop until probably the middle of next week. However, 2 bags styles that I had in the last shop update, I will have a couple extras. The first one up is the watercolors bag. Now this is a medium bag that is ready to be packaged and go out the door. So this is a medium bag. I will have 2 more large flat sets of this fabric and bag. And I think it's a little, so there. It's very bright in here today. But I will have 2 more large. I'm not putting them on the site. I'm just letting you know that I have them. And if you want one, could you message me through Etsy? I would rather talk about them. It seems that's cheeky, isn't it? Message me through Etsy, but I don't really want to sell them through Etsy. Etsy gets a lot of business from me, so I won't feel too guilty. The other bag set that I have is the chickadee, and this was a popular one. This was a very popular one. So popular, I had people messaging me saying, where's the chickadee bag? It's not on the site, and I love it, and I want one, and it's not there. Did you not post them? And I said, I did post them. They sold out really, really fast. So I tracked down some more fabric, and I had it sent to me, and I took the last 3 meters that they had. That was it. I could only find 3 meters, but I bought it. And I have 10 more. I have messaged the people already who wanted one. We've already talked, so if you're thinking you have to get in touch with me again, you do not. If I've confirmed with you that you're getting one, don't worry, you're getting one. But I think I will have 10 more sets. Again, this will be a pre-order. I won't have those extra ones ready to go until like probably the end of next week. But if you know you want one, message me and we'll talk. Okay, so that's it for shop update, other than there's still a few more Valentine sets in the shop. I have so many beautiful fabrics waiting in the wings. I wish I could sew faster because I can't make as many as I want to. And I love playing with the colors and the prints and the putting them together. It's so fun. It's so fun. I love it. I love it. It's a gift that I get to be able to do this every day. It's a true gift. So thank you for supporting the shop and letting me do this, because it's just pretty great. Okay, I think that really is it now. I better get back to work. This video is going to take me a little bit to put together, but it should be up by late afternoon, early evening. Plenty of time to still get that sock pattern from Tracie, from the Grocery Girls, if you're interested, and join us on the Facebook group. I will see you Friday for Friday Off the Grid with my Modern Folk Embroidery blue loveliness. Have a great week, guys. Happy stitching.